Hey friends, welcome back. If you saw my last video, you know that I'm going to show you how to build a composting bin outside in a trash can for 20 bucks? 30 bucks. It was more like 30 bucks. That's pretty cheap for a composting bin. And I'm going to show you step by step how to drill the holes, how to lift it up off the ground, how to catch the compost tea that will seep out underneath, and everything in between. So let's get started. So I chose to use a black trash can because that way it will retain heat and it will continue working even in the colder months. And when you're drilling the holes, you want to drill them in the top, around the sides, and on the bottom. Okay, now that my hair's up, we're ready to go because safety first. Okay, all the holes are now drilled. We've got holes on the top. We've got holes on the bottom. We've got holes on all of the sides. We've got holes on the top, the back, which is kind of hard to see. Yeah, and all the sides. Okay, so that took less than 10 minutes. Probably could have taken less time if I wasn't trying to be methodical about my holes. And now all I have to do is fill it with some compost that I already have, some coconut coir that I have left over from starting my worm bin, some food scraps that I've been saving up for the past few weeks, ooh, and cardboard and other dry materials like that. So let's get started. Before we do that, I'm actually going to show you the bricks that I've laid down to set the bin up off the ground so that it encourages airflow underneath. It allows the compost tea to drip into a dripper that I have, and it allows bugs and other insects to climb up into the bin and make it work even faster. And here is just a little set of bricks that I have laid up, and the trash will just go on top of that. This is just a little plastic water or compost tea catcher that I have. It was like 50 cents. And then I'll be able to just pull it right out the front, and I'll be able to pour it in the yard or on the plants in the garden and things like that. So here is my compost bin, just sitting on the side of the house. It's better to, I've read that it's better to keep it closer to the house because animals will be less likely to come close to the house. So if I had it farther back over by my raised bed garden, I think it would be way more likely to get rabbits and raccoons and things like that. So that's a pretty far way to walk all my compost along too. So yeah, I think it's nice to keep it right next to my tiered garden here, right next to the kitchen, and it'll make me more likely to use it. Okay, so one of the first things that I'll be putting in is coconut coir, which this is left over from when I started my worm bin. And it's all dried out now because it's been sitting since last spring, I believe that was. And so all I have to do is just add in some water and it'll puff itself back up. And if you want to see how I rehydrated this coconut coir from the brick that it came in, I have a video that I will link to somewhere, and you can find out how I did that really easily. It's just using a double bucket system with holes poked through the bottom of this bucket, but it's a lot easier if you just watch the video, I think. Yeah, so I'm gonna add some water to this. I'll add some cardboard, some newspaper, and some food scraps to get the bin started. So let's get a move on with that. You want some? And it's draining down in the bucket below, and then I can use that to water the garden, which is a fun win-win.
Darling, you send me, I know you send me, darling, you send me.
Alright, hopefully that's enough water. If not, I can always add more. And the good thing about this method is that it doesn't matter if I add too much because, oh yeah, it definitely needs a lot more. Because, oh, that's where that other brick went. Because it's in a double bucket system, so all the excess water will be in this bottom bucket. So you can see it's completely empty. You can see all the holes. Looking good. Okay, so if we head over here, you can see I have, I need to be my own shadow. Okay, so I have my green materials, which are my food scraps, and I also have my brown materials, which are newspaper, cardboard, and this coconut coir, which I've had sitting for maybe 35-40 minutes. So I'm gonna start layering and add water as needed and add brown material as needed. So the green material is the nitrogen and the brown material is the carbon. So you want to have a good balance of that so that it's the consistency of a damp sponge. Alright, so now that I've been letting it drain out, so I have the double bin system, you can see the bottom has all of the water and a little bit of residue, and I can use that to water the garden. And here we have our coconut coir. Alright, it doesn't look like much, but I just put in all of the food scraps that I had. Oh, actually there's another bucket. So these are food scraps from 3 people from about 2 days, maybe 3 days. And that all gets to go in there. It actually doesn't smell bad at all. But if it did start smelling bad, then that just means that I need less green and more brown material in the garden, in the compost pile. So that would be newspaper, cardboard, and things like that, and dried leaves. So yeah. So this is my in-between bucket that I have that sits in the kitchen under the kitchen sink, so that anytime I have something little to put in, I can just put it in here. It's kind of an in-between place, so I don't have to come out here every time I want to compost something. I could just kind of put it in this bin, wait a couple days, then I can empty it into here, put some brown material over it, because you always want to cover whatever you're putting in there with brown material. And then I like to give it a little spritz to moisten the paper. And there you go. That's all you have to do. So simple. And then when I feel like it's ready, all I have to do is slide out my little tray, and I can water the garden.
Darling, you